Yo, what's up? I am Jay Sean, and of course...
I'm Raja Kumari.
And we are here at Facebook. And guess what? We've never met each other in real life.
Yes.
But we're getting on like a house on fire, just sort of finding out stuff about each other. It's so nice to see you in like person.
It is amazing to see you. Actually, I was just telling you how much this means to me as a fusion artist, like, you know, watching you. This is the part where I just basically talk about how great you are.
Please do
so
carry
we
on.
can just get through this because, you know, I'm a fan.
I'm
so
just gonna sit here
like all of us, we're all fans.
Yes.
You know, just there's different songs of yours that have like marked different points in my life. And I feel like as a musician, we make the soundtrack to people's lives. And like there are so many good times of my life that I know with my friends where we were just proud.
Wow.
You know, to be a part of your musical journey and like we had you, you know. You were the first person to go #1 in the US. I have like goosebumps.
Oh, I love that. It's not the air conditioning, is it?
No.
All right, okay.
It's a big moment. And I'm just excited to be able to thank you from like, you know, all of us that have been enjoying your music for so long, so.
That really, honestly means a lot to me. Because, you know, I was out there on my own, just doing it.
You really were.
Like, trying to like knock down every single wall and every obstacle because people didn't understand what you were, where you're from. And you're trying to explain it to the world, but at the same time, you're trying to create a path for others to come through. So when you do tell me things like that, it makes me feel like, you know, all those years that I put in and all the kind of nonsense you also have to put up with.
Of course.
Was all worth it. You know, to see artists like yourself and so many new artists come about, it really is beautiful. But, you know, I was talking to my friend the other day and I was like, you know, back when sort of we were trying to see where we fit in to the music industry, you know, there was no infrastructure for a community. And now I feel like what I'm trying to do as well, of course, which is my next vision after, you know, doing what I've done for my own career. What I want to do is really set up and what I'm doing is setting up a central hub to bring in all the South Asian talent from everywhere, man. From America, from India, from England, everywhere, and put us on the mainstream platform. Not some little niche, not some like, oh, he'll go on the Asian network side of our, why does there need to be that? Put us on the main thing.
Exactly.
Like everybody else. So that's what we're trying to do. But tell me about your journey. I'm so like curious as to like your inspirations, your vibes, your background.
You know, just hearing you talk about how there's no infrastructure, I feel like that's kind of what's happening in India. And, you know, even though I was born in Los Angeles, when I came to, you know, Bombay in 2016 for my first like shows, just like dipping my toe in the water, I saw how much potential there was.
Yeah.
Like it felt like, I tell people it was like, it's like right before a fire. Like you could just see that place is about to go up. And I couldn't explain it to anyone. My parents thought I was absolutely insane.
Of course.
And I was like, I'm live in Los Angeles. I'm signed to Epic Records, who at the time are doing the exact same thing. They don't know what box to put me in. I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm not Latin. Indians, no one, like actually, the head of Epic actually told me at that time that Indian girls don't rap, and he didn't really care about India. And I was like, how do you not care about 1 billion? And now every single record label has to have a plan for streaming in India or they won't survive. And imagine 6 years ago being like, you have the only female rapper, Indian female rapper right now that is like on the precipice, but that was the journey. And it's really crazy to hear you talk about that because I think something that we have to remind ourselves of, and what people always ask me, is that you're on a level that we all want to get to, which is like Billboard, US, like millions of streams, you know, like just world domination, you know? And there's levels to this, and it continues to be the same struggles at every level. So like you basically can't get tired of it because you've been at the #1 spot and you're still hungry enough to talk about the need for infrastructure.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like the next 5 years for me, I'm really passionate about infrastructure for India. Like having, one of the problems here that I hope you can help me with
go.
is that the females have no support.
Right.
Like unless you're outspoken and an HBIC and a crazy, you know, just be able to say things, you know, you're not going to get through as easily. And then, you know, there's obviously like the pay discrepancies and all that or whatever, and the perceptions and patriarchy, but there needs to be more artist development for females.
Yeah, 100%. But like you were just saying, right, things are starting to change, and I really do think it's been the last sort of couple of years that have accelerated this whole, we need to tick that box, we need to fill that niche. Before it was like, you know, and now it's, of course, we all know there's a certain amount of overcorrection going on.
How does that make you feel?
Listen,
This is a question I wanted to ask you because when you were cutting through, something that, I mean, I was going to share something personal about our experience with you is that it used to bother me that no one knew you were Indian.
Right.
Like, it used to really upset me because I was like, he got through and you guys think he's Puerto Rican?
Yeah, a lot of people.
You know, and I understand, like, for survival in that time and to make sense of it, because America, you could ask someone where's, like, I'm Indian, they'd say, what tribe? And they would never be able to point India on the map, ever.
I did all of that educating as I went along, right? Number one, a lot of people didn't even know I was British. They all thought I was American. So the minute I start opening my mouth to speak, they're like, wait, what?
What is this?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to let them know I'm from England. Always let them know I'm Indian. Then, of course, if there was that ignorance about, and not ignorance necessarily in a bad way, if there was that lack of knowledge about what does that mean, is that the same as Arabic?
Yeah.
Is that the same? You always have to make these
And
kind
it's like a language, and you're like, we're a people,
Right.
sir.
Right.
You came for the spices, and the whole world changed. Please. We gave you chai.
And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to let people know and educating and schooling people along the way. Because like I said, for me, it wasn't about just making music and about being successful in music. That was never what it was about. For me, it was about being that boy who, when I grew up listening to R&B and hip hop and I was rapping and I was singing, I didn't have anyone who looked like me out there.
I know.
And it used to frustrate me because I'm thinking, do people not realize we are the second biggest demographic on planet Earth?
I know.
There's not one of us, guys?
There's not one.
Guys, is there not one? Hello?
Yeah.
And I wanted to be that guy. And I wanted to be that guy so badly that when I became that guy, I wanted to make sure everybody knew where I was from, what I'm about. Yes, my name's Jay Sean, but my family name is Kamaljeet Singh Judy. That's why I did that song, Who the Hell is Kamaljeet?
Who the hell is Kamaljeet?
There you go, see?
I always know your name.
Because it was all about, once you get to that level, what do you do with it?
Exactly.
Once you're there, what are you going to say? Once you're there, what are you going to do? And what you're going to do, not just for yourself, for your people. Because if it's just about you, you ain't really made a difference. If it's about your community and the people and you can push them forward, then you're going to be that person who people remember. And that's sort of, was always really important to me.
Can I ask you something that's a little bit, I think this might be interesting to people. Did you ever experience like racism in like the workplace, like in America? Because I always talk about it that like in America it's racism, in India it's patriarchy. These are my biggest challenges. It's like this is what I deal with.
Right.
So it's like when you signed a Young Money, I remember like that like message going around, like whatever we were on MySpace or whatever the hell we were using at that time to all like talk to each other. We were on Facebook at that time. Yeah, we were definitely on Facebook. Yeah. But MySpace was the music was.
Can't say that word.
You guys didn't have music on Facebook before. That was what was going on. They're gonna edit that.
Yeah. So when we were on Facebook.
When we were on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, when we were on Facebook and we saw like that you announced it, I remember thinking like, what is he going to do with it? What was it like having that many features? Because I feel like in the music industry now, especially in the Indian scene, like people are really trying to mix like, hip hop with American artists and, with the Punjabi music or like, our epic collaboration Punjabi MC and Jay-Z that will like live on in time. What was it like to pull that many heavy hitters in one project? Like, how did you feel going into the release of that? Were you like what were you feeling?
Well, for me, obviously, I know that you know my music from back in the early days all the way through to now. So one thing I'm sure you would have realized is what I love doing is hopping around genres. I never wanted to be put in one box ever as an artist. Because the way that I looked at it was, I can do a bit of everything because I love a bit of everything. Do I love R&B and hip hop the most as a kid? Yes. But does that mean I don't love country music? Does that mean I don't love pop music? Does that mean I don't like dance music? No, I love all of that. I grew up in West London where we listened to a lot of dancehall and reggae. So I loved all of that. So what I always tried to do was bring worlds together on a song. So that's why something like Do You Remember, why would you have Sean Paul on it? You wouldn't think Sean Paul would necessarily work on Do You Remember. It wasn't like a dancehall beat, which is the obvious one. Anytime anyone does a pop
Sean
artist.
Paul.
Yes, we should get Sean Paul for this one.
Yes,
it's like, again, right?
Yes.
So I was like, I don't want to do the cliche thing to him. let's give him something else that he might be able to spit on and have fun with. Now all of a sudden, I'm bringing his world onto this pop R&B kind of record, but it's kind of got like some soulful elements. But hey, what about Little John bringing some extra hype into it, bringing in a whole other... So you wouldn't imagine that combo working.
Were you in the studio with them?
We, for a couple of the collabs I was, a lot of the time I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I know how it is. We're
You know
not
how
there.
it is.
They send the vocals.
But that video for Do You Remember was so much fun. There's some backstage footage of when I was doing my Sean Paul impression and Sean walked in.
Sean Paul.
Yeah, Sean Paul. And actually, it's, you know, me and Sean have stayed in touch and been really good friends since then, and obviously did Make My Love Go again together. So going back to your question about what was going on in my head and what was I thinking about and how did I feel, of course I knew I was doing something pretty epic by bringing all these worlds together. But I did always want to let it be about the song and let the song have its own life. Because I think what a lot of people do, they force collabs. They'll do a song and then they'll go, who's the biggest person we can get on this? But that person might not be right for that song.
Exactly.
And sometimes you can feel it in the energy of the song. You know it doesn't work. But for me, I always try to do, there needs to be a reason and a point for that collaboration.
You said something that was so interesting just now. You were like, it needs to be about the song.
Yeah.
And I think you're the one of the people that's been able to like really achieve the balance and like you make pop songs that are popular.
Right.
They're well written.
Right.
They're like in Swedish structure. Right. They have the repetition. They have everything that a pop song has. And you were saying how it was important that people knew that you're Indian, but there's not necessarily Indian elements in the song.
There doesn't have, and I'll tell you exactly. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so there's not necessarily Indian elements in the song. So it's kind of like fascinating that these were like letting the song speak for itself.
Yes.
Was actually like,
Well,
I'm interested in this.
All right, so here's the thing. Wow, I'm actually about to tell you guys something that I don't think a lot of you guys know. These are stories that majority of people haven't heard.
These are real fans asking.
When I first started out, of course, the song that broke me was Dance With You. It had the Indian flute in it. But that was the only Indian thing about the music. The rest was a hip-hop beat.
Of course.
Then, of course, we had Jaggi D, who was doing the Punjabi, bringing that vibes. I was bringing my R&B rap flow on it, right? And I was doing all of that. And then, of course, that became a hit. And that led on to Eyes on You, me getting signed, Eyes on You, Indian flute. That was the only Indian thing about it. But then we did Stolen, we sampled Churalia.
But Pasha in the video.
Yeah, that had its Indian, I mean, that was an incredible moment. That had its Indian, but so now all of a sudden I've done 3 very different songs. They all, like, one's a ballad, one's like a pop R&B record, the other one's a fusion record. But they had small little bits of...
Indian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what happened, I saw myself very quickly being put into a little box where people go, Jay Sean does music where there must be something Indian in it. And I said, well, not always, no. What if I just want to do a song, a beautiful song with a piano, and let it breathe? Do I now have to have a on top of this? No. Is that right for the song? It's not right for the song. Let it breathe. But what about the Indian? Look at me. This is the Indian. Okay? This is the Indian.
Yes.
And I always said to people, I said, I'm Indian enough without you trying to force something that is not gonna come across as genuine, authentic, believable. It's gonna be a gimmick. And I refuse to do that.
Dude, you are like breaking through like my demons that I have right now because I'm about to like put out this music and I'm a songwriter, I'm a pop writer. I've written songs for Fifth Harmony and Gwen Stefani and like,
amazing.
You know, I can go in the room and write a pop song for someone else.
Right.
But when it comes to me, I'm like, oh, I gotta carry this mantle and I gotta say these things. But it's really, I think you just like literally shattered something that I have had stuck in me, that it's about letting the song breathe, and I am Indian enough.
That's it, man.
That's enough. And if like, to really be successful would be for the music to be universal and be #1 in the whole world, like you were and you have been.
And check this, by being #1, Billboard, having a song that had no ethnic elements to it.
It didn't.
It was just a great pop record. It was universally accepted and liked. Then I get to stand and be the Indian in that song. That's when I get the highest platform to go, hey, you want to know about me?
I'm Indian.
You want to know about my roots? You want to know my story?
Yeah.
Now I get to tell it on the biggest platform ever.
Crazy.
But imagine you took that song, messed with it, tweaked it, tried to put some stuff in it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the very same song that would then give me the platform to give and say my message.
Oh my, Jay, you're breaking.
You see what I'm saying?
Through you're better than my therapist right now. I'm like, oh my God, it's only me that's been holding me back. Like, wow, okay.
So I always believe that. That's all I've always thought. I've always thought, do what's best for the song, have respect for the song, let it be its thing. Like
And
I
the
never.
the songwriting craft.
100%. Like I always leave my ego at the door when it comes to writing a song. Nobody should have an ego when it comes to a song.
course.
You know,
So
and you get people, right? They come in and like, yo, man, I just wrote so-and-so's last hit, man. I'm like, okay, hey, you know what? Cool, man. This is not a hit yet.
Yeah.
Should we start with this one? We've all done great stuff. But like, we have to leave all those egos aside in order to write another beautiful song.
Okay. Well, speaking of another beautiful song, next
Yeah.
question. Do you feel now, do you think that you would put more Indian element? Like, do you feel like tempted to experiment with those sounds more and more?
Of course. Like the last song I just did with Nakre,
Yeah.
with Rishi Rich,
Exactly.
was
Oh.
so dope because
The
what did we-
reunion.
and-
we were ready for it.
But again, like musically, look what we did.
Yeah.
We took a beautiful Bollywood sample and we put essentially a reggaeton beat underneath it. And then the writing is the stuff you know from me. It's the pop R&B, the maybe guy, the write it guy doing those kind of melodies. But for the first time, I said, you know what? What haven't I done in my singing career that I would really love to do and just push the envelope a little bit? I know I can sing in Punjabi. I know that. We've been doing that. All the shows when Juggy's not there, I'm doing his bits. I said, let me try this for the first time. Let me see how this is going to go down. And the fact that the whole community, our people, even all the Bhangra industry, they were like, yo. In fact, they were making jokes. They were like, oh, you're going to take our jobs now as well? Huh?
All of the jobs. Don't let me learn Punjabi, okay? Y'all heard my Sidhu record. I'm coming.
There you go.
Just kidding.
So I love experimenting.
Yeah.
Let's try something different. What can we do that hasn't been done? And will it work? And how's it going to drop? So I love doing that. And then, of course, you know, with my other songs that I've done, there will be ways that I could be clever about it. Like a lot of people don't realize, Ride It is an Eastern melody. Those
course.
strings are Eastern.
Yes.
It's not necessarily, you can't place it geographically within a certain country, but it's Eastern. It's got that vibe. So when you're listening to that, without even realizing it, there's something that is making you feel a way, but it's not obvious, obvious in your, it's just like, whoa, there's a flavor to this that I don't know what it is.
Fusion requires restraint.
Exactly.
It does. Because it's like, you
Very
know,
true.
when people like, you know, like if you get dressed, you put on like, I put on a lot of rings, a lot of jewelry. And then I usually look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, I got to lose 4 of these things. It's a little chaotic. It's a little chaotic. Let's go like, you know, let's go minimal. And I feel like sometimes it's like that with music. Like we all want to be like, oh my God, this person's going to be on it at a dole.
Yeah.
You know, they need a tumbi now. Tumbi.
Yeah.
Electric tumbi. You
I
know?
had that. Listen, I went into writing sessions with some of the biggest pop producers in the world.
They pulled out their Indian beat.
Yep.
You know, I used to just combat that. Like, they'd play me regular beats, and I'd be like, all right, listen. I know you got an Indian beat.
Right.
I know deep in that computer, you got one of those Indian beats that you made with the Indian pack. Play it for me.
Right.
Play it right now. I might want it.
Right. Well, that's nice that you say it that way. But for me, what I was doing was, I was saying, okay, I know what I can bring to the table when I write a song and do a song. Cool. If I'm going in with another creative genius producer who has just done a huge song for, I don't know, whoever, some massive pop artist, or let's say we're dealing with pop because it happened to me. These guys are making massive pop records. Stargate were making massive pop records, okay?
Some people don't know that Stargate blew up like after Ride It and then went on to
And
do
also
all
way
the Rihanna
before,
stuff.
way before the
like,
Neo stuff, they
I
were
always tell
killing
people,
it.
I'm like, listen, Stargate got their start with Jay Sean. Please don't play me.
They were incredible, but what they had the reason why it worked is because we sat there and I said to myself, hey, give me what you do best.
Exactly.
What you do best, give me that.
Yeah.
That's why I've come to you.
Yeah.
I don't need you to try to make a Rich Reach beat.
Yeah, of course not.
Because Rishi does that.
Exactly.
Right? If you go to like a big dance producer and you want don't have them try to make a reggaeton.
Exactly.
Because it's not going to work.
I feel like that kind of, like in India, I would love more producers to come and like teach more like workshops here because there's so much talent here. Are you aware of like the talent that's in
It's
India?
unbelievable.
Like who are some of your favorite artists that you've kind of been
I'm talking about
listening
like the producers wise. I mean, I was lucky enough to meet up with Shankar Loy.
to? Okay.
And
Okay, big name drops. Let's go.
yeah. And actually, when I was with them, I was talking about how they did their music because I was so blown away by how songs are written here. I'm like, hold on, there's like 3 guys who write all the lyrics for every song in Bollywood. Is there like 3 of you?
Yeah,
and that's
it's like that. But then it's so funny because there is one way how it works, but then for some reason when I get involved with Bollywood, they can't write my parts. So
Right.
I get to like write my parts, so I get to get my name in as a composer.
It's amazing.
As a woman. So I'm like slowly being like, you must give credits to women.
No, it's
The jobs they do.
100%.
Yeah, man.
And actually, going back on talking about what you were talking about with women,
Yes.
earlier on, I really do think that there has been so much of an oversight when it comes to how many women behind the scenes, forget about artists,
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
producers, songwriters,
Stylists.
Oh my God, of course.
Creative directors.
All of that.
Photographers.
All of it.
Videographers. Makeup artists.
All of it.
All of it.
You're so right. You're 100% right. And one of my very good friends, Jenna Andrews, is become one of the biggest songwriters in America last year because of her massive BTS hit that she just did. But before that,
What a
she's had
juicy
so many
cut.
hits.
Yeah.
And she's a beast. And I'm just like, yo, these are, and she's an artist as well, but technically speaking, she's, when it comes to, people always focus on the artist is what I'm saying. They don't see the people behind.
Songwriter, yeah. I mean, I was a songwriter. I mean, I'm still a songwriter, but like
Yeah.
for 7 years before I released anything on my
Right.
own. So, and I think something interesting because you've how many years have you been on the microphone? Like for people who are watching, like when you recorded your first song that you were like, I'm gonna try recording a song.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was
I don't want to date
15,
you on this. Okay. Around
and
the same
I was
age.
recording when I was in a hip hop group called Compulsive Disorder
Okay.
because I was a geek and I was a science nerd.
Compulsive
and
Disorder.
Compulsive Disorder seemed like a cool name at the time.
Mine was-
and it was me and my cousin. What?
Mine was Styles Bliss.
Oh yes.
That was my hip hop crew.
Styles Bliss.
MC Bird and Raj Kumari.
Amazing. And at the time
Compulsive
it was
Disorder. Back.
Dex,
Yes.
TDK cassette.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Which meant you had
One take.
One take.
One take.
And we're mixing along. So like we're recording an album, but it's all non-stop because the DJ is mixing as we're going through. If he messes up one mix, start all over again. If I mess up one word, start all over again. My cousin messed up one word, start all over again. So it was a really fun experience, but I think that's also what taught me how to be a performer as well.
Exactly.
Because you have to be on.
When I that's actually funny. When we first did my first records, I had like a friend that could use a computer who like taught himself Pro Tools but didn't really know how to use it. And this is hilarious. We were in college, so we had a lot of hookahs in the house.
Right.
So this is bizarre. I had a hookah base and like the extension of a vacuum, like the plastic tube.
Brilliant.
We put the wire through it, shoved it in the hookah base, and just had the mic in front of us. So I'm like I'm on the couch and there's just this hookah mic thing.
That's actually
and
dope.
we didn't know that you could have a monitor and hear yourself back, or that you could re-record fly the chorus. So I would do the entire thing in one take like that,
Right.
but then you had to learn. And then we
Exactly.
would like play this back and be like, play it for people. And it was like, I
Yep.
did it in one take
Isn't that sick?
on a hookah mic.
Yeah, it's the
Like,
best.
it's just
I love
ridiculous.
stories like that though.
know?
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, man. Egg
Having
cartons.
fun with it, being creative.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like we designed our own we had like the worst kind of programs on our computers to be able to do graphics. But we did the best what we could.
Yeah, we did
our
it.
whole photo shoot. We
Oh,
put
man.
the thing, the inlay, and
I
it
made
was
my press
fun.
kits
Yeah.
and printed them and would take them to people. I
Exactly.
probably like tried to go to your show and give you one.
Right.
I'm sure I did.
It was really beautiful, and I love those days, and I love the journey from those days to where we are now, where during COVID literally I was recording, my engineer lives in LA, and he was remotely recording me from LA in real time using 3 or 4 different apps so
Whoa.
that there would be no latency between LA and New York.
Who is this person? I need his number.
I'm in my Gucci sitting in my basement, just
as
on
we
a
all
mic
were.
here, and he's recording me as if he's in the room with me, and while having a co-writer who's in England. And we're on FaceTime writing the song, recording the song in real time, and this was just like...
You were able to do it? Like, there
Yeah.
was a lot of requests for Zoom sessions, and I know friends that have literally won Grammys from Zoom sessions
Right.
now, and it's like, I feel like I'm being too much of a purist. I'm like, I must be in the room.
There is, of course...
There's the energy
magic
thing,
and the energy
yeah.
of being in the room.
Every time you sing on Zoom, it mutes everybody else, so you have to, like, can't give your melodies. I can't do it. I need to
So I would usually either I would written the song myself completely, or I would write with somebody who I really like writing with. Actually, my producer, Alan Sampson, who did write it. So we had our shows, our Zoom sessions, but there was no pressure. That's the difference. So 2 things happened from the Zoom sessions. Number one, the pressure of, like, when you walk into, this as a songwriter, and not just an artist, when you're walking in to write a song for somebody else, there is a pressure that you need to deliver. That session, that slot has been set up.
For you.
You have X amount of time with this producer for that artist. Bring your A game. Hey, maybe the A game doesn't want to come out that day. It's pressure.
Do you know what I do whenever I would get in those positions? I would just sing, like, my, like, Indian melodies or my things, and they would be so exciting for them, and I would just be like, cool, just leave me as a sample. And then and then they would be like, they would be so excited. They'd be like, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this. And I'm like, cool. Like, and then everyone loves me, and they forgot that I didn't come up with any other lyrics that day, but I got equal percentage, and we're fine. Like, it's fine.
That's amazing.
That's how it goes. India. So what was your first trip to India as an artist?
Oh my God. So Dance With You blew up here. It was actually a soundtrack on a film called Boom, I believe. And it blew up. We had no idea that the song had blown up in India. Okay? So therefore, I had no idea that people knew A, my songs, or B, who I was.
Okay.
Cool. What was my first gig in India?
What was
Only the MTV Awards.
Okay.
No big deal.
They used to be in India?
MTV Emmy Awards.
Oh, the EMAs.
It was the Emmy Awards.
Oh, Emmy. Okay, sorry. They need to give us that award. We don't have those anymore.
So I'm like, so we're going for what? Like, just a little MTV performance. I went, a little MTV performance. Okay, so I come out there, of course. There's millions of people watching this. Millions.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know how many. One of the guys told me, yeah, Sujit, don't worry if you mess up. It's fine. We can always maybe perhaps do it again. But bear in mind, there's about 200 million people watching. I was like, I didn't want to know that. Why did you just tell me that? Now I'm definitely going to mess up. But of course, because we have this word in England called rags, where you just don't give a, you don't give a damn.
Go for it. You just got to walk into it.
You don't know better.
Yeah.
I'd never done a performance like this ever before. I'm just excited.
Yeah.
I go, I don't care. Let's go. Boom. And we had the time of our lives. And that was my first experience of performing in India.
How do you feel India fits in to your plans? I mean, obviously you're talking about building an infrastructure for South Asian artists. I'm glad you know Aishman, so you can keep me plugged in.
Of course.
Because I need the help too. I want to go
worldwide.
worldwide
That's
like
the whole
Jay
point. That's what it is. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing on my mind right now.
Is India fit into that?
100%. Let me tell you something. As you very much know, we take the huge stars from here. We take your gurus. We take your AP Dillons. We take your Badshahs. We take your Diljit Singhs. You put them in America. Of course, our people know who they are. They're huge stars there too. But are they on Z100? Are they on Power 96?
AP Dillon should like Brown Monday should have played on the radio. That would have been a fun moment.
Now, here's what I always say. If my good friends, J Balvin and Maluma, can come from their scene and be played on mainstream radio in America, why can't our people? Why can't our music?
Come on.
So that's what I want to do. And that is my number one priority and focus right now, is to try to make that happen, because it needs to.
But the wonderful thing that is your focus is that it requires all of us to be together for this.
Yeah.
And in the past, I feel like since there was a lot of scarcity mentality in the community with like not wanting to help each other because it was like sometimes just like one person was getting
I've got my
through.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah, but now there's such a like camaraderie. There's a
yeah.
community. Is I call it the Brown Renaissance. It's very exciting times, and I feel like we actually do have a chance to have the culture push over, but it requires like all of us to support each other. So.
Of course, you can't be a movement by yourself.
No, we can't.
And now that we have all of us and we have moments like this, which by the way I have absolutely loved
I've had so
having
much
this
fun.
conversation,
Yes.
and you know, it's moments like this, it's platforms like Facebook that are going to be able to put it out everywhere and show people, you know, what we need to do. How do we need to do it in order for us to get there? It takes all of us.
It does.
And I know it's going to happen.
It is. I believe it. Exactly. The Latin explosion happened. We watched it happen. It's possible. And it's just going to take a lot of belief, a lot of commitment. And we have to leave the door open. Like when I saw MIA on the stage at Coachella, I felt like she looked like me. And I saw the possibility for me to be on a stage like that. And as we move forward, as you have done, you've left the door open for us because we've been able to reference you and the work that you've done to prove that we're capable of it. And hopefully the work we do in the future will continue to let you know all the incredible artists from the diaspora and from India, man, homegrown artists here. Spend some time. I'll play you some artists that are kind of unknown that you will lose your
I would
lose your
love
mind
to.
over it.
I would absolutely love to. And you know, I was watching the whole hip hop movement blow up in India, and what I love is that the respect and the credit was given to the boom bap era. It wasn't just came in straight with trap. You had those 90s, 2000 beats where MCs were actually being MCs.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There was a
They had
respect.
real ciphers.
Exactly.
They
There was a respect for it. And I want the world to see that too. Because when I tell people back home, I'm like, yo, you don't know these MCs out in India are spitting hard bars. And they're like, what?
Straight fire. Yes.
I'm playing them YouTube videos of this.
We all do this. This is our job.
Yeah.
As the bridges, we're
the best.
we're the ones from the diaspora that have to go around and make sure
I love
that
it.
people know. But
It's exciting. It's
Yes.
exciting times
Exciting
and it's
times.
fun. And it has to be fun for it to work, you know?
yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Clearly, Facebook is going to give us our own show now.
Obviously.
Because this is like, you know, we
This
could have
is-
guests. It's like a whole thing now.
Bring 'em
'Cause,
on.
You know, we're just sort of pros at this by this point. But no, this has been amazing. It's been
been
so nice
great.
talking to you guys. And thank you, Facebook, for
Thank you,
having us.
Facebook.
Peace, peace.